Voltaire hair. I would personally like to talk about Voltaire. Hi, I'm Jackson Bird, and today I want to talk about not Voltaire, deep cut for the Princess Diaries fans there, but actually about hair. My hair, specifically, I suppose. I have a long history of talking about my hair on this channel.
I have these natural blonde highlights right on the sides. It makes it look like I'm bald right there, but that's hair.
Right when I started testosterone, I thought I was losing all of my hair because it like squared out, which is totally normal.
It almost felt more permanent than starting hormones to me for a while because like it takes so long to grow back, like if I didn't like it.
My eyebrows have hairs now? Obviously my eyebrows have always had hairs.
But I am losing some hair. A bunch just came out right now.
Including the first video in which I cut off my long hair and had to come up with reasons to explain to all of you why I had done so without saying the real reason, which was that I was pretty sure I was trans and getting ready to start transitioning.
I'm happy both with my hair and with my decision to do it. To just like go for it. I think that taking risks and making big changes and doing things that are just for yourself, regardless of what anyone else thinks or is going to say about you, are really important things to do to help you get to know yourself better and just grow as a human being.
Ever since that first cut, I kept my hair pretty short. You know, I changed it up a little bit over the years, but it was always pretty much the same length, and I liked it that way. But then the pandemic happened. I remember one of the last things that I did the day before New York City shut down was go get a haircut. I knew it was a little bit of a risk, but I also knew that it might be months before I was able to get a haircut again, so in my mind at the time it was similar to stocking up on some extra rice and pasta. And you know, at first I figured I would just have a friend cut my hair once it was safe enough to do that and just put up with slightly unruly hair until then. But as the pandemic went on and my hair kept growing, I eventually decided I kind of just wanted to see what would happen. It had gotten past a couple of awkward points when I was alone in my house without anyone to see me, and as we all cautiously re-emerged for distanced outdoor gatherings, I started getting close to achieving that crowning glory from my 90s childhood, the swoopy Leo DiCaprio or Sean Hunter hair. I mean, to be honest, there were only a handful of days when I feel like I really nailed that look. I don't think I quite figured out how to style it, and even when I did start going back to the barber for trims, I wasn't great at explaining what I wanted, or they couldn't figure out how to make it work exactly with the various quirks of my very fine and straight hair. The last time I cut my hair was back in March, and I barely got it cut then. It was basically just a trim. I've been meaning to get it cut for months, and I'll get to the reasons why I haven't in a minute. But first, I want to talk about something else that has occurred to me. Especially once my hair more recently reached the point of tickling my shoulders and being able to be pulled back into a ponytail for the first time in nearly a decade. See, back in my early days of transitioning, I remember seeing fellow trans guys who, a few years or more into transition themselves, would grow their hair back out. Whether it was like, you know, mid-length or all the way down to and past their shoulders. I remember thinking internally, I never said this to any of them, but I would just think to myself, how can you stand that? Like, did it not affect their ability to be read as male? Did they not care if it did? Were they not constantly haunted by the thoughts of what other people were thinking? Like, did some people in their lives think that them growing out their hair meant that they were detransitioning? And didn't that possibility bother them? Did they care that other people might think it made them look more feminine? Are you sensing a theme here? I was completely preoccupied by what other people might think. Now, rationally, I could tell that these guys must not have cared as much as I did what other people thought because they were clearly prioritizing their own sense of style and expression over other people's opinions. Which we should all do if we feel safe enough, but I just couldn't help but wonder if it ever bothered them. And I remember thinking at the time that I definitely couldn't grow my hair out even if I wanted to because I would be totally plagued by self-doubt. And that's what it was. Self-doubt. Not in my gender, I was clear on that, but I was still letting other people's opinions get to me. It was a sort of internalized transphobia, you know? I was imagining other people's narrow view of trans people's gender expression so intensely that it was becoming my own narrow view of trans people's gender expression. And I think this happens a lot in the trans community. You know, some of us can feel a little insecure about not being read in society the way we want to be, and can maybe become fixated on certain things we think we have to do in order to be read and treated the way that we want. And then we start projecting those things onto other trans people, or demanding or making accusations if people don't adhere to our own anxiety-fueled ideas of how trans people ought to look and behave. It's not cool. I understand where it comes from, but I at least try to check myself whenever those feelings start simmering. The good news is those kinds of feelings bubble up way less often for me these days. In fact, I had completely forgotten that I had ever felt that way for like the first year of having long hair. And somehow I was reminded one day, and I just had to laugh that my past self would ever think that, because now here I was, a trans guy with long hair, and experiencing absolutely zero dysphoria, and never once stopping to think that someone could interpret my long hair as a sign of detransitioning or wanting to be more feminine. Like, it's just hair. Now, I will grant that, as I've talked about before, I've gotten misgendered a bit more during the pandemic, the combination most likely of both masks and the longer hair. But I mean, cis dudes with long hair get misgendered all the time too. And you know, as soon as someone sees my beard or sideburns, they usually correct themselves. It's not really a big deal. Even as I have returned to certain skills and habits I thought I'd said goodbye to forever when I cut off my hair, it's been more interesting to me than anxiety or dysphoria inducing. This first started when I realized I needed to go buy a brush again because a comb wasn't cutting it anymore. And more recently, I've been putting my hair up in a bun sometimes and having to pin rogue bits back with bobby pins for more formal occasions, which I also had to go buy bobby pins for. And you know, sometimes I've even been doing that like twisty towel thing after you get out of the shower. And it's honestly been really interesting, like how many of these skills just came back with muscle memory, you know, like riding a bike. And even when I think about how I just know how to do those things without having to Google it or ask a friend like some dudes might have to, because I did them myself for almost a quarter of a century, it still hasn't led me to any kind of gender crisis. Like, I still feel completely like a man. I mean, if anything, there's actually a little bit of gender euphoria to it, of feeling even more like a man in a way. Especially as I remember some thoughts that I had way back before I started transitioning, when I still had long hair and presented to the world as a young woman, even though I knew I was a trans guy. And I remember thinking for a bit back then that no matter how badly I wanted to start transitioning and being read as male, I didn't really want to cut my hair. I liked my long hair at the time. I liked how it looked pulled into a low ponytail in a kind of masculine way. And I thought, if only I had a beard and a sharper jawline, I would have loved to keep my same hairstyle. So it's been cool to kind of get to try that out now, to have the long hair and the beard. But I don't think it's my favorite style for me. Or at least I'm ready to change it up for a little bit. I mean, for one thing, I've never really figured out how I like to style my hair at this length, or any of the slightly shorter lengths it's been over the past 2 years. I don't love how it looks in any way that I've tried it out. And I especially feel this at formal occasions, when I can't just hide it under a baseball cap, which I do literally every time I leave the house these days. You know, every photo that I've seen of myself from weddings or events where I've tried to slick my hair back or put it up in a bun, I've hated those photos. I just really don't feel like I look like myself in those photos, or like how I want to look. And the baseball hat, I mean, you know, it's a little bit funny. I've actually started feeling a little similar to how I felt about cutting off my longer hair at the start of my transition. Because back then, I was at the point where I just put it in a ponytail every single day, all the time. And I was thinking then, like, if I'm not doing anything with my longer hair, why even bother? You know, back then it was a ponytail, now it's a hat. Like, why put up with the annoying parts of maintaining longer hair if I'm just hiding it away all the time? And yet, for some reason, I have still put off cutting my hair. And part of this is practical. Like, I've been so busy that literally scheduling a time to go to the barber has seriously been a challenge. That will tell you a little bit about why I've been posting fewer YouTube videos if I can't even make time to go to the barber. And there's also like sort of the financial aspect, like I haven't wanted to waste money on a haircut until I know exactly what I want. You know, like my hair right now is super scraggly, it is a mess. I do need to go at least get a trim. But I don't want to waste the money to just go get a trim. If I'm going to do it, I want to have decided what to do with my hair, how much to cut off, what style to go for. You know, do I want to go back to that wannabe Leo DiCaprio look I had earlier in the pandemic or some modern approach on it? Or do I want to cut it all the way off again? You know, I also grew out my beard and mustache during the pandemic, so I have actually never seen myself with both a beard and super short hair like I used to have, so that could be interesting. I mean, I do feel like I looked younger or less mature with the shorter hair that I used to have, and I do like looking a little bit more my age, but maybe with the added facial hair, not to mention the receding hairline and new wrinkles, maybe it'll all balance out a bit. And that is another point. I've lost quite a bit of hair during the pandemic. It's receding at the temples, it's just thinning in general. So much comes out when I wash it. I am a little scared what my hair will look like when it's shorter and there's less like long strands hiding things. I know that it won't look exactly like it did before because some of it is just straight up gone. So I have been a little scared to confront that. But at the same time, if I am gonna keep losing my hair, I want some more time to enjoy the shorter hairstyles that feel more like me versus this longer hair that I'm just not really vibing with. Actually, I do really like how it looks when I have a hat on, but again, I don't want to be the person who just wears a hat all the time, and that's who I am right now. So, I just gotta do it. This is it! Honestly, I've really been liking it until I got on camera, and now, it's not working as well for me on the camera viewfinder. These bits just like keep sticking out. I don't know, it's been a few days, I'm still trying to like settle into it, and I've forgotten when you don't just put a hat on when you record. Like with YouTube, most of us like record on our own, so I don't have someone like checking that my hair looks okay, so I've just got to try to make it look as best I can, and then it's just gonna fall apart throughout the video. Oh, I mean, it's also just like so tough like getting the lighting and stuff to work. Like I feel like it looks weird because of the lighting, but like I suck at lighting. This whole like really liking this haircut when I've been like out and about hanging out with friends but not liking it on camera is so typical of YouTube life. Like I think I need to make a whole other video sometime about how weird and kind of awful it is to constantly be looking at yourself on film and spending hours editing yourself on film over years of your life, especially if you're going through physical changes. It just like really messes with your body image and insecurities. Like I like how I look in the mirror. I mean, not always, but like I did today, and then I turned the camera on, I'm like, I don't like this. But in any case, I did it, I cut my hair. Apart from this moment, I really like it. I don't know, it's still like a longer style, but you know, I did lose a lot of inches. The lion's mane is gone. It's totally off the back of my neck, almost, which is feeling great in this heat at the end of the summer. But more importantly, like I said, I have been feeling confident going out without a hat on, which was a big part of the point. I actually do really like this haircut, or just, you know, like that I did it. And honestly, now that I've done it, I kind of feel like the whole first chunk of this video was a massive overreaction. Like, was it really such a big deal? But you know, I guess it was. Like, past me doesn't lie. Those were the real feelings I was having at the time. And I think part of why I like this haircut so much is less about how it looks. Obviously, I'm still getting used to that, but more just that I feel at ease with having done it. And my barber really helped too. He was awesome. He reassured me that my hair is not thinning too badly and that everyone loses hair around their temples. And he actually showed me like his receding hairline there too. And it was kind of like the most open dialogue that we've ever had together before. And it just felt like a cool older dude mentor moment. And I think I really needed that. But okay, if you are still watching this self-indulgent video, you may be thinking, Man, that dude worries about his hair way too much. And you wouldn't be wrong, I kinda extra agree with you now on the other side of this haircut. But I think, maybe one reason that I can get so caught up on hair is because I wasn't allowed to have the haircut that I wanted as a kid, like a lot of trans kids didn't. I didn't get a haircut that really felt like me until I was 24. And hair has always played a big role in my life because my mom was a hairdresser. So hair was a huge passion of hers. I don't know if anyone else is watching this, but I just finished watching season 1 of the new A League of Their Own series, which I just freaking loved. Highly recommend it. And slight spoilers ahead here as I describe this, so if you don't want to know anything, skip ahead a little bit. But one of the main characters, Max, her mom is also a hairdresser, and eventually in the show, Max gets a short haircut that fits her personality and gender expression a bit better, and there is a lot of tension around how her mom might react to that. Now, even though my mom fully supported me cutting my hair as an adult and claims not to remember telling me that I couldn't cut it short as a kid, I still really resonated with that moment in the show. It's like when something really important to your gender expression is also wrapped up in your parents' biggest passion in life. There's some added layers to that stick with you, I think. And there is another part of Max's storyline in A League of Their Own that also really resonated with me. So again, spoilers here. So Max has a non-binary uncle. That's how the actor describes the character, but the show takes place in the 1940s, so the way the character would have described himself might have been a bit different. But anyways, Max both sees herself and sees possibility and liberation in her uncle, but at other times gets scared. She's embarrassed to be seen in public around her uncle, scared for her best friend to know she even associates with him, scared to admit to herself that she is in any way like him. And she takes that out on him directly sometimes, and it hurts to watch. But I would be lying if I said I hadn't been there before, especially as a kid trying to figure out what all my feelings were and who I was. There was a period of time where I was genuinely terrified of anyone who seemed the littlest bit queer, and especially of anyone whose gender expression didn't fit binary norms. What I was really scared of was admitting to myself that I was like them, and therefore having to unpack all the hang-ups and judgments that I'd learned from larger society. I couldn't understand then how anyone could go against societal norms so loudly and publicly, and I assumed that those people must be sad and insecure all the time. But they weren't. They'd worked past that long ago and found freedom in embracing their true selves. I was the sad and insecure one. Sometimes you can experience all kinds of confusing feelings as a result of gender dysphoria, especially earlier on in transition. And sometimes those feelings can manifest in judging other people. And it can be tough sometimes to parse that out, to realize when it's happening in the moment, but the more that you can realize when it's happening, the less you will hurt someone with your judgments. And the more that you can realize maybe where those feelings are coming from, so you can start to work on moving past them. And I guess for any of us who might be the target of such judgments on occasion, it's helpful to remember that it's rarely about us. That doesn't excuse it, but it might help us respond from a more productive place. Or just ignore it altogether and rise above it. Voltaire, the French Enlightenment writer, once said, "Doubt is not a pleasant condition, but certainty is an absurd one." Now, I believe he was criticizing overly zealous religious folks in that one and defending his stance as a skeptic, which I would also say religion and skepticism, not mutually exclusive, but that is a whole other discussion. But I would also say, relevant to this topic, applying that quote here, doubt can be messy. And when you doubt yourself and let your own insecurities project onto other people, that is not a pleasant condition for anyone involved. We will all change and grow in a ton of different ways in infinite number of times throughout our lives. What's absurd is projecting our own self-doubts as certainties onto others and judging them for changing and growing in ways that we can't yet recognize in ourselves. So I don't have long hair anymore, not super long hair anyways, but it's not because someone told me that long hair made me look feminine or I was scared about that myself. I just decided to change it up, and compared to the huge weight of transition the last time that I cut off this much hair, it's pretty dang awesome for this time to have felt like it's just hair. It'll grow back if I want it to. Some of it, anyways. But yeah, Voltaire, hair. At the end of the day, it's just hair.